This is the Speakeasy, the Village Speakeasy Talk, and we are it's a conversation about sex, magic, and self-trust, and how they may or may not be overlapping. Uh,
Mm.
Hopefully, somebody's getting overlapped in sex, but um, yeah, I am so excited. We have Deborah here and Tracy. Tracy, this is our second time doing a fun uh, speakeasy chat, and yeah, so Deborah, this is your first time. Deborah, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself? What I
Abs-
can tell you guys right away, though, she's fantastic. So go
Aw,
on.
thank you so much. And Alli, it's a reflection of the amaze of you and how who you bring into your world. So thank you so very much for inviting me in. My name is Deborah Cat. I am a sex and relationship coach. I have a wide variety of skills and interests, starting from Tantra all the way through to many years as a pro dom. I like to say that I support people in having the best sex of their lives with the people they love. And I do that in lots of different ways. And I'm thrilled to be a part of this Substack crew. And yeah, so thank you so much for inviting me to be the sex part of this conversation. Although,
Oh no,
I've got a little
what a
magic
great,
and
but thanks
self-trust
for
in
having me
there.
be the sex. How are you guys? I'm the sex. It's fine. And
Well,
so
wait a
now
minute.
we're on to the magic since the
I
sex
thought
is
we were
here.
wait, I thought we were talking about sex magic. That
They
completely changed.
two things can be true, Tracy. Gosh dang
Okay.
it.
All right.
Two
So
things. All right. So this is Tracy. Introduce yourself. I forgot I need to go get some water. I'll be right back. Tracy, talk to the people. Tell them about the sex magic.
I'm Tracy, and I did do some sex magic just the other day. Um, but I talk to people about whether magic is real, and I show you how we can scientifically prove that it is, in fact, real, at least some of it.
Hmm.
I think there's areas that we can't prove. I'm a podcaster. My podcast is called Folkloring, and I talk about how to bring folklore and magic into your day-to-day life. I'm also an author. I wrote Mind Over Magic, which is pretty much what I talk about in my school community. So, hey, Karen, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining today. So, yeah, I really talk about and welcome people who want to talk about magical things. And we're all going to drop links to our communities in the chat at some point during this. So pay
Yay.
attention. And you're always
Yeah.
welcome to come on over. This is a very exciting live for me because Deb was the first person that I ever went live with.
Really?
And yeah. And
Yay.
was I the first person you ever went live with?
Yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't quite as successful as we wanted it to be.
We
Well,
were
you
just
can't win them all.
experimenting. We were just experimenting because we didn't know what we were doing, and so but we did jump on. We did actually have the live. We didn't talk about all that much, but it was a learning experience, so that was good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
And then
and
go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, so much of what I think of as sex and magic and self-trust is a learning experience.
Yep.
When honestly, like once you really unlock that self-trust part of it, it feels almost like a magical moment, right? This magic moment. Because yeah, you finally lock in with who the hell you are.
Right.
But speaking of who the hell you are, hi, I'm Alli Gatlin. I am your identity and writing coach and the creator of the Write Ugly method, as well as the written identity. And on school, you can find us on writing identity. And yeah, we do all things writing, identity, chaos, bullshit, life. And we show up with all the chaos and accept that life is imperfect. And it's all those imperfect bits that make it worth showing up for. And it's okay to write it exactly as it is. And it's just better to find that self trust with yourself and being honest and just writing what's true instead of what feels true or what you should be doing. And, dropping all like the performative identities and things like that and remembering just who the fuck you are and remembering how to hear your own damn voice again. So, speaking of my voice, I'm just so happy to have you two here. And yeah, I'm excited to one, just kind of talk about like the overlap in all of those things because I feel like people were like a little jarred when we dropped the title, like sex, magic, self-trust. They're like, what the hell are you guys going to talk about? It's going to get weird, and it will. But before we do anything else, I have to give the world's biggest shout out. Literally 10, 15 minutes before we started this, I had Alicia. She's one of our amazing subscribers. I'm sure she'll either chime on here, but she's a member inside of the village, and she and I actually work one-to-one together. Showed up at my house with this T-shirt. It is literally a trash like panda wearing sunglasses, drinking my all-time favorite poison, a sugar-free Red Bull. So Red Bull, if you're listening, sponsor me. Only the sugar-free kind. And trash pandas, I love you. But yeah, so I just wanted to shout that out. Thank you. I have the world's best clients, and yeah, if you want to
So
be a client, you can also bring me T-shirts, and we could talk about your identity.
So
What
I
was that?
dropped in all of I dropped in our links. The first one, which is Folkloring Life, that's mine. The next one, which is Reiki Healing, that's Alli's, and Deb just dropped her own in.
Reiki
So
healing.
if
I was
you
like, I'm not
are,
Reiki healing. You say Reiki healing?
no,
I'm writing identity. That's not me.
no, what, I went to the wrong place. Wait a minute.
I was like, that's crazy. I was
Thought I
like,
was
well,
doing.
Reiki healing's cool. I don't think I'm going to be the informed content
I've
provider
got.
that, yeah, not really a thought
Okay,
leader
so
in that one.
oh, you know what? I did go to the wrong one. My bad, you guys.
You
Ignore
guys,
that.
she's full of shenanigans. Don't we also join that community too? I'm sure it's lovely. But join mine,
Anyway, that one
school.com
is
slash, yeah,
that one
identity
is
written.
called Moonlight and Middle Fingers, and it's a lot of fun as well.
Also
Allie's good.
wonderful. See, I told you, join that one too. We don't, they're not here, but join them. There's a power.
There we go. Now I found you. Jeez.
You've been found.
That's see, this is how you go looking for clarity, and then instead, other things, middle fingers find you. So see, you got to wait for clarity to come find you.
So I am a new member of Alli's school, and it's been really fascinating. I didn't quite know what I was going to get into. How do you describe your school, Alli?
Yeah, my school, the school community. Well, one school uses the language called community, right? I, however, am a nonconformist, and instead we call it the village because we've all had that feeling in life where we know the phrase, right? It takes a village, but so few of us have ever really truly gotten to experience that moment of having a village that we can lean on. And so, first and foremost, we have to be the village for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that we show up for others in the village is the same way that we've always wanted someone to show up for us. Because we all like life is full of shenanigans. It shenanigans once, it shenanigans again, and it shenanigans. It just keeps going. It's sometimes it's the pits, and sometimes it's joyous, and oftentimes, you know, grief and joy show up in the same damn day, holding hands.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
all of that is a part of your life, and we get to choose and we get to write our identity. And so many people have shown up to journaling or creative writing or content writing or things like that where they feel like I should, like, I'm successful on paper, I'm smart, I know what the fuck is going on, I've read every book, I followed all the gurus, I've listened to all the podcasts, although you should listen to mine, Village Voice, and they're short snippets, I promise. And but they know, like, I still feel like shit, and it's because there's not that alignment with their
Mm-hmm.
actual identity and the way that they show up to themselves, right? And so when you're having that internal conflict of when you're lying to your own journal, your journaling is never going to work. Because how many, like, let's be real, even just if anybody wants to respond, how many of us have had like a journal that's just stacked dust and dust and dust? Like, you buy a brand new journal. Like, I literally have one right here. I just got it.
My journals end up full of shopping
Yeah.
lists.
Well, and that's okay.
And
Now, all writing matters. Like, literally, all writing matters. But like, you get a brand new journal. I just started this one. Oh, but also this one's cool. Like, it has little letters. I can pop them into place. I got a whole jar full of letters. So I some days I'm like, fuck this. But yeah. So actually, I'm pretty sure there's some naughty words on there. I'm gonna put that down. Uh, if we were in the UK, that would be a perfect word. But everywhere else, not so much. And we all have those things, right? And so we want to journal, we want to write, we want to have this practice where we build writing into our day-to-day lives because it's already there. Writing is just like our language, the way that we speak, because it's teaching us to just pause and check in with ourselves and how to have that reflective moment. And so inside of the village, you learn the right ugly method. You connect and have opportunities for collaboration just like this. You are able to showcase some of your work, get feedback, and show up for yourself, even if it's just the one place you're able to just say the ugly thing if you
Mm.
can't anywhere else. And then there's
Mhm.
also, we have, for the writers lab where we work on like specific content. We actually are going to start implementing with the tarot Thursdays. So that's exciting. So implementing that type of curiosity and, looking at things from a different angle. But it's all about just remembering who the hell you are and finding a place where you're safe to hear your own damn voice again and remembering how to hear your own voice and just knowing when to use it and listen to it and just to sometimes shut the fuck up.
Gosh, hearing you say that, that's like that's what self-trust is, right?
Yeah, that's really what we do is like it's your journey back to self-trust. So writing isn't the be all end all goal. Writing is the tool. I always tell people I am the world's worst liar and it's like sneakster because I'm like, all right, you guys, once you're in here, moment I get people on a call, like on their like welcome intro call, I'm like, okay, so you're gonna hate me, but this isn't a journaling community. I'm very anti-journaling. I think everybody sucks at it, and you probably suck at it. And you should stop. You should actually just start writing instead and just have a writing practice. And I'm not going to teach you how to write. I'm going to remind you how to trust your damn self again. And we're just going to use writing as a tool to get there. So I'm going to trick you into like just, remembering who the hell you are as you just happen to also be building a writing practice because writing is physiologically and like scientifically proven to be actually so fucking good for your health. Just do it. Even if it's literally just scribbling down your shopping list. Just those tiny little actions are good for you.
Mm.
Right. As you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, what we all three really do the same thing. We find
Yeah.
people help or um, find people, help people find
Find people.
their
I'll find you.
authentic self, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's, I do it through focused magical practice. And, I start with observation, like observe the world around you. If you get an intuition hit, pay attention to that, notice it, because the more that you look for magic in the world around you, the more that you find it. And the more you start to trust your magic. And a lot of people have doubts, is
Mhm.
any of this real? Did I really do anything? Did the spell work? I don't think the ritual worked. But if you start to look for evidence of it, you start to say, okay, that didn't work for me, but that's okay. Everybody who is performing any kind of spiritual work is, like I always say, every religion is a religion of one, because you bring to it yourself, your experiences, your beliefs, your understanding of the way that the world works, and your physical presence, right?
Yeah.
Are finding ways to be healthy and keep our energy in like where it needs to be for what we're doing in the moment. Those are all things that help you understand like what who you are, because a lot of times if we're out and about in the world and we're interacting with people, we pick up on their energy and
Yeah.
we might not even know it. And so once you start to find out, hey, this is what's mine and this is what's somebody else, that in that way you know yourself better, you know who you are, you know where you feel comfortable, with the where your vibrational level is within your body. And I'm not talking like raise your vibration, right? You don't always
Yeah.
want to. I don't want to raise my vibration when I'm trying to go to sleep.
No,
Right.
you're
And
like, I'm trying to calm that shit down. Yeah.
right,
Actually, which is
and
why I'm not a fan of morning pages. I'm a nightly dump kind of gal. Like, just dump that shit out and let it go, dude. Go to bed. Get
yeah,
some sleep.
I,
Don't be a dick to yourself and go to take a nap.
yeah. When I write, it's usually really late in the afternoon, so I can sort of dump the day, and then I can just relax for the
In
evening and be
transition,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
Writing is
So
like that 2-minute practice is like, because just so you guys, everyone knows, I'm not talking you have to spend like, I'm going to go spend an hour in my journal. No, it's a 2 minute fucking practice. You write 6 words, by the way. We have a 6 word theory. Like, it's not hard. Everybody has 6 words because we show up for ourselves, right? Like you said, you show up in so many ways. You have all these things that where you're like, it's doubt, it's this. I doubt that anyone could have less than 6 words that they can give themselves in a day. Right? We
Mm.
all have 6 words, even if it's, I don't want to fucking write today. Like, that's enough. That counts. It's an honest, like, moment with yourself. It's a 2 minute practice. Everyone has 2 minutes that, and everyone deserves 2 minutes of their own time.
That was
And
7 words,
whether that's
by
for
the way.
magic. What?
That was 7 words, by the way.
Well,
Um,
I threw the word
I,
fucking in there. You could drop that one. It's just a,
um,
it's a flavor.
I
Flavor.
always have trouble. I have trouble keeping it to 6. I have to like rework stuff in my brain.
Well, 6 is the minimum.
And Deb, it's pretty much the same with the work you do, is helping
Yeah.
people find their authentic selves, right?
Absolutely. Hearing you both talk, it's like one of the things that I always say is the most important relationship we have is the one with ourselves, right? And so, you know, and in terms of like what you were saying about observing the world and noticing how we feel in different situations, that is so important for relationships, and that is so important for our sex lives. And I should say, when I talk about sex, there is the very strict, like, two people coming together and escalation, penetration, climax, and napping version. But I actually think of it as a much bigger situation than that. We have ways in which we are, I talk mostly, when I talk about sex, I talk about our turn on and our life force and how we bring that to ourselves and each other, and to our communities, because that life force energy, that sexual energy is creative energy, right? It is the stuff that creates people and life, and it's also the stuff that creates both magic and creativity. I'm really curious, Karen, like, do you have a short, excuse me, do you have a short um, definition of what you use when you talk about magic?
Um, yes, when I talk about magic, I define it as affecting the environment either within you or around you with no mechanical intervention, right? And so the first example I use of that is typically the placebo effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
You take a pill and it's inert, it has nothing that's going to affect you in any way, and your brain says, oh, I took medicine, I'm going to get better, right? And in many cases the people do, they get better because their brain just decided, right? Like, how magical is that? But that is not the most interesting part about it. If you take that pill and you know it's a placebo, it still works in a lot of the cases. It doesn't work as
Was
well.
that over like 60% of the time?
Yeah.
Like 60% of people in that one study got like I was just reading a study about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so what that tells me is that ritual is very important. And the human brain learns that even a ritual as simple as taking a pill makes you better. And
Mm-hmm.
so even though you know it's not doing anything, the ritual itself is of value. And so, that's how your brain learns. And anything that we do as we're learning, a new skill, new knowledge, whatever, you practice something, right? And I talk about a magical practice, and you guys, you talk about a writing practice.
It's
You
the same
talk
thing.
about,
Yeah. You should
and
always
so
practice sex.
Oh yeah, I
mhm,
absolutely talk about, like, great sex is not. I actually use the phrase "great sex is not magic; it's practice,"
Yeah.
mhm,
because these skills are learnable. The things
right,
in my infinite wisdom, to have a really great relationship, to have really great sex, in whatever that definition looks like to you.
right,
What you need a couple of things. You need good communication. You need good empowerment skills. Like, you need to be able to know, does this feel good to my body? Does this not feel good to my body? And then you need some skill. Like, when you go to touch somebody, it's like, are you actually touching them, or are you like, can you, and are you enjoying the touch?
Yeah.
I think one of the things, one of my favorite things to teach people, to teach couples, is like this idea that like we can touch for our own pleasure. It's kind of like petting a cat.
Yeah.
When you pet the cat, you're petting the cat for your pleasure, but you're also petting the cat for the cat's pleasure. And the cat will absolutely let you know when it wants more, when it's done, when it wants the ear, when it wants the back. Like that kind of communication is what I think, is part of what I think makes really fun, great sex. Is it's like, it's not just saying, hey, a little to the left, a little to the right, although that's important, but it's also being able to be, in tune with the person that you're with. And
Mhm.
as the person who's doing the touching, it's your partner can tell when you're not present,
Yeah,
right?
when you're
And
not
that,
honest and like showing up authentically. Right? And
yeah,
authentic is
absolutely.
like that buzzword now, but like so my bad guys. But it's like I always say, like when you're overthinking, or because people oftentimes perform their own voices or they perform someone else's. And I think like that's what I was thinking, like the huge overlap in like just a writing practice and having great sex is like you said, communication, but it's that first communication with yourself. Are you performing in bed? Are you performing on paper? Are you performing with your words? Are you performing a magic thing, or are you like, do you have that internal belief in it? Do you have that
Right.
internal confidence that it's going to continue to show up, that
Well,
you can
my
yeah,
live yesterday was about working with doubt, right?
yeah,
Because, we all have our doubts, whether it's, I'm a terrible writer or I am not good in bed, you know, what we do is we tell ourselves these stories and then we start to believe them, whether or not they're true. And so I think that when we're talking about doubting, we all do it, right? And we all have moments where it's like, did my magic do anything? And I think that it's also about examining what your expectations are.
Mm,
Because sometimes, maybe you are getting better at writing because you're practicing it,
every
because
day, yeah.
that's the way our brains learn, right? They learn by doing something over and over, because that is having the neurons fire along neural pathways. And the more neurons fire along those pathways, the more that there's a fatty substance in the brain. And that fatty substance goes to the neural pathways that you're using and greases them, right? And so that's why if you don't practice, you take up an instrument and you haven't practiced it in 10 years, you're not as good, right? Because you're not using those neural pathways.
Well, and
And
like it comes down to like the like DNR method, like what I, has implemented in the right ugly method and inside the village is, and it's probably very similar to yours too, Deborah's, is that it's just those small bits of practice that like stack on top of each other. Like you don't need to be like, all right, I'm gonna learn how to play the guitar and I'm gonna just cram in 8 hours once a month. You're gonna be a much worse off guitar player if instead you choose to show up and just couple minutes a day. The same that like that one thing that you're practicing, you're rebuilding a new pattern. So like that neural repatterning, like you're building new habits. You're teaching your brain the same way that you can show up and work with doubt, right? If you are open to working with doubt, if you're open to showing up and one just kind of accepting it too as it is what it is, it's present. And then also still continuing on, you're able to build a new system that you're teaching your brain and your body that there's safety in trying a different lane and trying a different, choosing a new choice, choosing a new
right,
path.
I think
Yeah.
also, when we become adults, we start to have this fear of doing things poorly, right? Like when
mm,
we're little kids, like they start doing everything poorly, right? But they get praised for it, for
mm-hmm.
trying. Kid takes his first steps and it's two steps and he falls down, right? Everyone's like, oh my God, look at you, and they get excited. And in every moment in development, people are reinforcing that they're doing great. And then we get to adulthood and, through school and other things, we learn like we don't want to appear incompetent in front of other adults because we think we're going to get judged and everything. So sometimes people just say, I'm going to act like I know it all because that's what makes them feel comfortable, right? Because they don't want to say to themselves, wow, have I been bad in bed my whole life? you
Right.
know?
Well, and unfortunately, we don't know. You know, people don't realize that until somebody tells them. And here's the thing about that I want to say though is I can't tell you how many couples I've worked with who've been together for like 3, 4, 5, 10 years. They come into my office, we talk for a moment, and one or the other of them will say the thing that they've been meeting that they've needed to say for a really long time. And it's usually something along the lines of, you know, the pressure you use doesn't work for me, the place you're touching me doesn't work for me, or
Yep.
whatever. And it is so devastating to the partner to find out that for 5 years or 10 years or however long, they've been doing it wrong, right? And it's not that they've been doing it wrong, they just haven't had the accurate information. And
Right.
so, you know, this goes to what you were saying earlier about the whole performance piece. When we perform, when we're not telling the truth, we're not giving accurate, you know, we're not getting
Data.
accurate
Yeah.
feedback. And so, if I think that like I'm petting the cat and I'm petting it like this, and
Yeah.
it's
They
like,
like it. You're
you
like,
know,
woo.
the cat is kind of pretending to like it, I'm going to keep doing it. But you know, a normal cat is going to, well, maybe not a normal cat, but most cats, if you do this, they're gonna let you know that that's not what they
Yeah.
want.
Oh yeah,
And
my cat will put up with me brushing him for a very short time, and then he just leaves when he's overstimulated. And he's a big old fat cat, so he can't get to his back very good. So I have to brush him all the time to keep those knots out. But he'll tolerate it at first, and then all of a sudden he'll like get the ick and have to
Yeah.
go.
My
And
puppy does the same thing. She's like, no, I'm over it. Thank you. All done now.
yeah, and I think that, like for me personally, I'm kind of a freak because when I start seeing someone new and having sex with someone new, like I'm immediately like, okay, how, did that work for you? Of course, they're always like, yeah, that was great. I got a blowjob, right? But what could I do
Everybody
better?
wins.
Yeah, what could I do better for you?
Yeah, like
And
what do you enjoy? Like I want like cuz also like when you're honest with yourself and you're not performing it, right? Like showing up for somebody and giving that pleasure also that's rewarding.
yeah,
yeah, and I just want to say something. I want to say something about blowjobs because I do love them. And I didn't
they're
always. I because for years, you know, I thought it was all about my partner. And then I actually took a class, because I do,
The hell it
and
was.
I heard the woman say, "What are you doing for your pleasure? Like, can you do this for your pleasure?" And it's like, "Oh, well, wait a second. Do I, you know?" And she talked about slowing down and, you know, going through the feelings and going through, you know, yes, I love the impact that I have because, you know, my partners generally like what I
Yeah,
do
like you
there.
can
But
genuinely
like,
enjoy it yourself.
you know, can I
exactly.
actually feel the enjoyment in my own body and my own self, right? And that absolutely shifted and changed the way that, a, I gave blowjobs, and b, I enjoyed them because it just became this thing of like, oh, there's mutual, I'm petting the cat.
Yeah, like everybody wins. Yeah, like that's how it should be.
Right. But I mean, like me too. At first, like when I was first introduced to the concept of blowjobs, I'm like, you want me to put that in my mouth? Like you pee out of that thing. Like,
Right.
but I really love my boyfriend
You don't
and I
keep
really
shame,
want to
you just keep
have it.
questioning, you know?
Yeah, and how can you learn if you're not asking those questions? And this poor guy, I mean, we were teenagers at the time, and I'm grilling him on how to give a better blowjob, and he's like,
He's like, I don't know. I just fucking figured this thing out myself.
exactly. But that helped me to learn. And then I just kept doing it with new men throughout my life. And every guy likes it a little bit different. And if you don't know that and you're like, I'm just going to keep doing what has been working for me, it's like if you go, 2 degrees off, well, for the first 5 miles, that doesn't matter that much. But after 1,000 miles, you are way off. And so you have to recalibrate with every new person that you're with, no matter what the activity is sexually, right? You have to know. You have to ask.
Absolutely. And I love that you what you said there a moment ago, which was that, like, men are like, all men are different. Because I think, I don't know about you, but I grew up with the idea that, like, you know there was a lot of difference in what women wanted, and a lot of, like, women are individual and everything else. But men, if they have a cock, they all
Steak and
cocks pretty
BJ,
much
yeah.
want the same thing. And so I really, that's actually something that I really, one of my stakes in the ground is that no matter what body your partner is in, learning what is exact for them is going to be, different. And it might even be different day to day. Like, what you did Tuesday night was mind blowing, and for whatever reason Friday, it doesn't have the same
Like,
effect. And
yeah. But I also think that comes down to like that once again, like connection with self. Like you can't tell your partner what you like. And you can't expect them to tell you what they like if they don't know what they like themselves. And
right.
that's
Right.
why when people are like, oh, go fuck yourself. I'm like, never had a bad time doing it. No.
And
It's
understanding some, basic physiology helps too. Like I had a big learning curve when I started dating European guys, and because it was the first time I had ever slept with a guy that was uncut. And it's a very different experience. Like now I would never go back. I need a man who is uncircumcised. It is so much better for me
wow.
personally. Um,
And
but
yeah, that's Tracy. Go do some magic.
and so I think that you have to learn, because that skin protects the head, right? And so guys who don't have that, they're rubbing up against their clothing more, and they're less sensitive, really. And
Mhm.
so I had to learn to take a lot gentler touch, and that's just like something that a person might not even know that, right? Because they've all they've had that all their life, and it is what it is, right? And so I don't know that, like, we're not educated on stuff like that. So
Well, we're also
someone.
just not educated on like self pleasure in general. Like there's so much shame attached to it in the same way that like telling the truth is shameful. Like we're like, yeah, this experience sucks, and it doesn't have to like, or this experience is fantastic. I should be able to pleasure myself, or I should if I want to do like. There's no shame in showing up for yourself exactly as you are, and
Mhm.
learning how to enjoy and embrace all the pieces of it, even
Right.
the wonky bits, right? Like little long in the tit over here, like but I've never had a complaint, and but it's it's one of those things where it's like I fully embrace and enjoy my body exactly as it is, and
Mhm.
and I've been multiple sizes, and but I am comfortable with my body, and
Mhm.
that shows up to my partner too, and I'm able to then express myself that way too, and because I'm honest with myself, and I've written, I have a writing practice, and I've written about it. I actually have an entire series that we work through. So I do sometimes a small group cohort, kind of like a mini series where we actually talk about just like identity and like sexuality and like embracing yourself in that full spectrum. And at one point, I do tell everybody that they have to do a creative writing course and write a little naughty tale for themselves. And people, it's exciting to see people embrace that curiosity again, because I always say I have two house rules, like don't be a dick and be radically curious, and like embrace all the opportunities for new information, and there's no bad information that comes your way, right? It's just new information, right? You
Mhm.
touch something and I'm like, oh, I hated that doesn't mean like that it was like this horrid thing, but it's like, okay, this is new, now I know, right? Oh, actually I really like this. And also, this is a personal rule. I think try anything 3 times. Because the first time I feel like you're probably going to be a little jaded and like, you're not really giving it your all. The
Mhm.
second
Right.
time, you're like, okay, like you're in there, but you're still a little wishy-washy. But the third time you're committed to the bit. Like that third time you have like a true genuine experience of what's happening. And I say that with writing. I say that with doing anything, trying a new mustard, right? Trying a new sex position. Like try anything 3 times. By the third
I
time, if you don't like it, you could fully say that's not for me.
I
But
always like the Dan Savage, the GGG. Do you guys know that saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
no.
Okay, so it's good, giving, and game, right? That's right,
Mm-hmm.
Deborah?
Yeah.
So good is you do the work to learn how to be good in bed. You make the commitment and how to be good in the way that they need you to be. Like you put in the time and the effort, whether it's, reading stuff, whether it's asking for feedback, whatever it is. And then giving is like you worry as much about their pleasure as you do about yours, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure we've all been with selfish lovers and it sucks, right? It's not good. And game is like your game for trying what is important to them. Like don't cross your boundaries, don't do stuff that is like makes you feel terrible. But if it's okay for you and you're kind of like, I don't know if I'm into that or I'm not into that all that much, but okay. And give it that try, try it 3 times. And I think that that's a really good sort of baseline because it says, you've got a responsibility. You should be enthusiastic about learning how to give good sex, right? And you should be willing to meet your partner's needs to a degree, like up to
Mm-hmm.
where they come up against your boundaries. But I think that that's a really good way of sort of framing like approaching sex.
I think
Yeah,
so too.
I love that. And I also would say that, it's a great way to approach dating.
Yeah.
I facilitate an event, Tantra Speed Date, which is bringing people together for dating. But it's really interesting to me how often, people will like have the first date and they're like, I'm out, right? There's no chemistry, there's no this, there's no
But it's like
that,
you
there's
barely
the other thing.
know. Like you just know if like they're a human at that point. You're like, okay, not a lizard person, I hope.
Exactly. And I so my coaching is always like the invitation to go on 3 dates. And I invite them to try 3 different kinds of things. Like, maybe there's a sitting date, maybe there's a date where you're doing something together, and maybe there's a date where you are, you know, going dancing or really being active together. But like the first date is really just like, can we be comfortable enough to like go on a second date?
Yeah.
And I don't mean that like, we came together and there was crazy chemistry, because I like to say if there's crazy chemistry on the first date, you want to rethink that one, right?
Mm,
Like chemistry is a beautiful thing, and oftentimes it is not, it's connected to something that your nervous system is in anxious flight. And
Or
right.
yeah, like
yes,
anxiously
that's
like seeking. Yeah. Like and it's like like an immediate like feedback research where things should the slow burn, right? The slow build.
you
Hmm.
know I mean, I am there's nothing wrong with chemistry. Like
Oh no, it's great.
I
I'm
will
here for
admit to
chemistry too.
being a chaser as well. However, I just, when it shows up, the invitation to check in is like, is this the kind, am I chasing, is this crazy chemistry, or is this like,
And
we've
also,
got
what am I
things in
assuming?
common?
Yeah, what am I
Right.
assuming? Like, am I telling myself a story that might not be really there? Am I adding to a picture that isn't fully developed yet?
Yeah, the first time that I met my current boyfriend in person, he lives in the UK, and I live in the US. And so we had known each other for a while as friends, and then we sort of started getting more romantic online. So between the time we started dating, or we moved from friendship to dating, and the time that I first like met up with him, it was about a year. And I remember like talking to my friends about it, and my girlfriends were all like, "Oh my God, what'll happen? You're gonna find out if you have chemistry." And they're all talking about like, "Oh, what if you don't have chemistry? What are you gonna do?"
Build
And
chemistry though. Like that's
yeah,
that's
my
a
guy
skill.
friends, my guy friends were like, "Of course you're gonna have chemistry. You
You've been
talk to him
talking for a
every day,
year.
you know who he is, you know what his values are, and all of this kind of thing." And of course, we had crazy good chemistry because we had taken the time to really learn about each other and really like who the other person was, you know? So yeah, that was, it was very interesting that my girlfriends were like, oh, be careful. And my guy friends were like, of course.
Well, and I think it's funny too because the same way that you just said, like, you take the time to get to know somebody, just like any practice, when you first start, you're not great at it, but it gets better and better. The better you know somebody, the better you show up and you continue to show up, you're adding another layer, another layer, another layer. Like, and now, if that were a recipe, like that is a wildly like profound recipe, like filled with flavor profiles and things like that. The recipe just keeps getting better. It's like a
Yeah,
perpetual soup.
after, like, so I get there, it's all crazy, we go to the hotel we were staying at, and so we immediately like jump in, even though I've been traveling for 24 hours, and I'm like, ooh, but we do, it's fine. And I had to give him feedback right away, and the feedback was,
I
next
had
time
to.
you need to clip and file your nails.
That's very important feedback.
Very
Yeah,
important feedback. I mean,
yeah.
so
And get a nail scrubber, people. If you're doing
Oh,
anything
yeah.
where fingers are touching insides or outside, nail scrubber. I know that's Deborah, that's your thing, but clean up those nails. Like get soap, water, and get in there. You know.
absolutely. I was gonna say, in terms of like getting to know someone, I'm married now 4 months, but I've been with my partner for over 27 years, right? And so, I can tell you from experience that the chemistry comes and the chemistry goes. And it really is like, where am I putting my attention? How am I putting my attention? Are we practicing, are we practicing connection? Are we practicing telling the truth? Are we making time for ritual for each other?
Yeah.
I think one of the beautiful things of Magick is that we create an atmosphere, we create an intention, we create, we've got the props. Sometimes we have the outfits, like, and that is all a really important, for many people that is very important in helping to create the atmosphere for sex or the atmosphere for connection. I'm imagining there's places where you feel more comfortable writing than others.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's, and what you said, it was like we're putting in the effort, we're creating time, we're putting like the attention on these things to show up for those things. It's it's also equally true that that chemistry, that connection, that spark, even in your writing, that can go away, right? That spark connection with your magic can go away if you're not showing up for it. You're not making the space. Like,
True.
unfortunately, I'm currently going through a really like a tough season in my marriage, and I know a big part of it is we we did a lot of things, have been doing a lot of things wrong, and a big the biggest one is we stopped honoring those rituals, those moments
Mm.
and opportunities to connect. And the the less that you put into something, the less you're going to be able to get from it. And so take my advice on what not to do. Don't do that. Um,
Well, like I was saying earlier, ritual is hugely important to us. And it's ritual in all areas of your life. And that's why I talk about like bringing folklore into your life, because I'll people are like, I'm so busy, I can't do anymore. It's like, okay, try this. The next time you're cooking something, stir it clockwise and think about it nourishing your family in the future, and
Mhm.
infuse that intention in it, that it's going to be nourishing, that it's going to be delicious. And that's it. You're just doing, like, you're thinking about an additional thing while you're already doing what you were going to do. Or
and
when you
you guys are
want,
already all overthinking. You tell me every day, right? So it's like everybody's already overthinking. You might as well just swap the thinking for, yeah, a practice, a ritual, something that you
right,
can own,
right.
that
Mhm.
you're choosing intentionally.
Yeah. And I think that, when you're preparing yourself for sex, like sometimes you want to just jump in. You're like, let's get her done, and that's fine, right? But it can be nice if like candles are set up and, the lighting is pleasant and you maybe sit down and connect with each other over a glass of wine or whatever it is, tea, whatever you drink. I don't know your lives. But
My bad for the
like,
tea story.
so I think that, just taking that time to step out of day to day life and say, this is now sacred space, because that's what you're doing when you do rituals around lovemaking. And I think that I want to differentiate that from what we were talking earlier about sex magic. And a lot of people use sex magic by setting intention while they orgasm, basically,
And
and that's what they
that's not a bad thing too. Like you can own that, like, as like, what are you wanting to focus on more of? Like, what do you want abundance in? Like, right, in terms of magic, like, think about the good things that you want to multiply, right?
Mhm.
And hopefully
Um,
it's orgasms.
yeah, and I think that both things are effective, but I think that if you think about a ritual to prepare for sex, it's going to be more valuable to you because, we value what we put effort into. And I think, and even if like you're doing it for, your partner and they come home and it's like, oh my God, like I love to throw dinner parties. I throw dinner parties, and I think cooking is a lot like doing magic and doing
Oh,
ritual.
100%. I
Mhm.
call myself a kitchen witch every day of the week.
Yeah, and so it takes me a couple of days because I do big, fancy, lavish. I usually do 50s style surf and turf,
Ooh.
and I tell people to like dress up. Like this is
Oh,
for
Oh,
how
this.
fun.
fun.
I love a themed party.
Yeah, and I when I do that, it's like I have 10 times the fun that my guests do because I get to spend 2 days like cooking, hey Ken, cooking and preparing, setting a beautiful table, and they show up and they're like, they sit down, we have nice conversation. I always get a mix of people who some people haven't met, and we go from there. But it's like you can be the one preparing and enjoy it even more. Or, so it's not like I'm saying you have to do this ritual and chant and stuff before you have sex, right? I'm just saying it can be nice to stop and create a sacred space like it is when you're doing spell work and people say, oh, I have to cast a circle and, I'm going to call to the four directions or call on certain deities, right? That is stepping away from mundane into sacred, right?
Mhm.
And what could be better? And even with writing, I think that if you've got your favorite pen, like getting that pen is a ritual in and of itself. If you've decided that I'm going to actually use that beautiful journal. And it's not going to be, me personally, I've got like 17 blank journals that I just keep buying them. But, you know, I did a live a few weeks back about journals, spell books, and grimoires.
Yeah.
And it was talking about the difference. And it was like I had so many blank journals or almost blank journals that I was like, okay, I'm gonna bring out most of these, but I don't think I'm gonna bring. It's like it's embarrassing, It's like, oh no, do I really have? I think it was like 18 or 19.
I literally just
Uh,
like, I have like seven more. Like, and I can't even read you guys. So we're good. I, but yeah, like, also, if you're new to writing in a writing practice, get a cheap like shit thing. Like, don't be afraid to like not make it, like, it can be sacred without being like objectified in like this weird way that you have to like put it on this pedestal. Like, it's okay to use it.
Mm,
right,
Like,
mhm.
show up and actually embrace the moment. Scribble on the page, have crappy handwriting, spell everything wrong or spell everything right. Like, it's okay to just get it out there. Every page can be different. Every spell works, in moment that you show up for can be different. Every time you have sex, it's everything is allowed to be what it is without
right,
forcing, without performing it, without trying so hard. And that's where that self-trust is. Trust yourself to just be present in the moment and be your fucking self.
right. And pay attention. If something makes you uncomfortable, you don't have to keep doing it.
No, yeah,
You know,
just notice that. Like, take a moment to sit with that. Like, okay, and also then ask yourself why. Get curious. Like, what is making me uncomfortable? Because sometimes it's not what you think it is.
right. And when you tell yourself a story, right, you're like, oh, I'm uncomfortable because I don't like the way my body looks right now and I don't want
Yeah.
to be fully naked in front of someone. Like, is that true? Is the
Is that
first
even
question.
your voice, or did you hear some? Is that somebody else saying that to you? Are you owning somebody else's identity? Are you owning some other people's expectations of you? Like, what is truly your sound? And I will be very curt with everyone. Your voice doesn't hate you. So if that voice you're talking to is, that's not you, babe. It's just not you. You love you. You just sometimes forget to listen to that part.
Yeah, I always say that about like people talk about their guides and spirit, or sometimes they work with deities, and it's like if those entities they love you, they want to help, right? That's what guides are for. That is the purpose, right? And so if they're saying negative things, it's like that's either you and your self-talk, or it's some other kind of spirit, if you believe in that sort of thing, that is not like ill-willed against you, right? And
Yeah.
I think that people can get negative attachments and start to think in a much more negative way. And I think it's really easy to do because that's just an energetic thing, right? Like an attachment isn't like a demon that attaches to you. Some people believe that, but I think that for the most part, it's just sort of you take on this like darker energy, and maybe it's from people around you, maybe it's because you were sick and you went out and you were sort of susceptible to somebody else's bad mood and dark energy, and so you take that on and then you carry it around, and then you're again functioning at a lower level because you've got that. And that's why things like grounding, shielding, centering are so important, because even if that's only symbolic, and as a folklorist, it doesn't matter to me if stuff is true or if it's not. What matters is what people believe and why they believe it. And so I think that if you want to like do like grounding, shielding, that's great, because again, that's a little ritual. And that is something that you can focus your mind on. I know what my energy is, and I'm going to filter out all the bad energy that I don't want. And that ritual, again, can change the environment within you, right? You're saying,
Mhm.
I don't want what's not mine. And then, you that's where your brain goes. It's like, okay.
Well, and so that kind of reminds me of like, so I was talking about like the circle audit, right? And like last week, in last week's podcast episode and article, I'm just talking about how I'm doing that, the circle series. And this next one that we're going to be dropping is about, that the circles of overthinking. And it came when I was writing the Overthinker's Journal, and you're doing that audit with yourself. And it's a meditation practice in a way, because you literally draw two circles and you say like, okay, what am I holding on to? What am I taking responsibility for? What is mine to actually hold? And what is not mine, right? And so what is
Mhm.
yours is, yeah, like, can I have control over this? Is this my actual belief? Is this something that I have an impact on? Or is this something that I can't touch, that I can't change, that I can't control? Is this not mine? Is this someone else's? Separate those two things and then look at it and sit with that moment and realize I've been holding on to all these things in this left circle that's not fucking mine. And I think that it shows up often. What were you going to say, Deborah?
I was going to say, I love that we all have practices around this idea of what's me and what's not me, what's mine and what's not mine. I'm a big believer in cord cutting. And what I mean by that is, like, as you were saying, we can get an idea that we then keep circling around, right?
Mhm.
And it takes our time, it takes our attention. And when we ritually just cut that cord and take our energy back and let it go and just know, not mine, not me.
Well,
Yeah.
And
the thing about cord cutting, like if you want to do the ritual, if you want to cut the cord, if you want to tie it around a couple candles and let it burn, like that's all great, because symbolism is great and ritual is great for our brains. I think that it is important to note that when we talk about energetic cords, that's not like some woo-woo kind of like I'm imagining, I'm visualizing our breaking apart. Those are real. Like in the physical world, in the natural world, those
Just,
are
yeah,
real.
ruminating gut will stick with you. That energy sticks with you if you keep holding on to it. Yeah.
they're basically called quantum entanglements, right?
Yeah.
So on the
Mhm.
quantum level, you are physically attached to people that you have interactions with, and you're more strongly attached to people that you care very deeply about, and so. Like, and we've known about this for 100 years. This is not like some cutting edge kind of belief system. They were talking about it in the 30s, right? And so like what you really do on the physical level, if you're like, I'm not really like down for setting up a whole big
Yeah. You
experiment,
don't.
you just,
Yeah.
yeah, you just broke up with someone and you're like, oh, I don't have the energy for that. Well, what you do on the physical level is you strengthen your other quantum entanglements, and we can be entangled with pets, trees, the earth, objects, like other people, right? And so you build those entanglements and focus on those, and then the other older ones just sort of naturally start to drop away. That's why it gradually hurts less over time,
Mhm.
because it's gradually becoming less and less strong of a connection.
Or sometimes
That's,
the best way to get over somebody is to get under somebody. It's
but yeah, that's real. And so, I appreciate the symbolism of it. I appreciate, that, like, if you want to do that and it helps you focus on, okay, I've done this ritual and now I've got my mindset in the right place to go and really start to entangle, like strengthen entanglements that I have that are not the one that I don't want, right?
And in terms of like a writing practice, it's very similar too, though. You can release something. And when I tell people to like write things down, right? When you're overthinking and you have that ruminating thought and you just can't let it go, write that shit down. Get those words. One, you've already given them enough of you. Why don't you let them have their own space? Like, let them live in the world and not just in your brain. Put them in
Yeah,
a physical space. Put them on the page. Put them, in your notes, whatever. But if you really want to, like, I tell people this all the time, write it down, rip out the page, crumple that shit up, and get it out. You can burn it, throw it away, whatever, you know, whatever you need to do. But you don't have to hold it anymore. And
right.
I will bet you like 35 cents, like that. I like how many, I mean, like, what if, I don't know how many people are on here and it can't be throwing out dollars, but,
11 people.
all right. Well, all right. I'll bet everybody $1. I got you for that much. But I bet you $1 that if you're really like stuck ruminating on something, write it down one time and then say, and then you can say it out loud, say it in your head, or write it down. Like, this is no longer mine to hold on to. Like, thank you. I'm done.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
let that shit go. Like, it's not yours to hold anymore. You're allowed to stop torturing yourself sometimes. Like, you're just allowed to do that. And talking about like the, neuro repatterning, giving yourself the authority to make new choices based on new information that you're feeding yourself. You don't have to always accept what was fed to you.
hmm,
Ah, that is such an important one because it's like I feel like for myself anyway, I had a belief at one point, and I had such a hard time letting go of that belief to move to the next belief. And there's a way in which when I did, I would, as one of my teachers talks about, like, punish myself for not knowing, right,
mm,
and not allowing and not using myself justly, like
But it's like, why
judging
punish
myself.
yourself when like all it is a skill gap? That's all it is. It's a skill gap. And you like don't there's no people hold these beliefs of like punishment and shame and things like that, and they just get stuck to you. Like, what did you end up doing to like let it go?
God. Well, I think, we did a lot of work around the idea of forgiveness. We did a lot of work around the idea that, like, we knew what we knew and we did what we did with the information that we had at that time. And now that we know better, we can do better. Did a lot of work around that. Did a lot of work around, was there something that needed to be repaired with ourselves or others?
Absolutely.
Was.
First off, the answer to that is damn near always yes, you guys. Just keep going back. Like, we can always fucking do better. Like, we did
that's
our
it.
best. Even if we did terribly at that moment, that's what you were capable of, and you can't go back and fix it. You just have
Right.
Well,
to, what it is what it is.
Well, and
isn't
like
that just
Karen was talking about,
the
I was just going to say what Tracy was
Uh,
talking about. I don't know why I've called you Karen twice. My apologies. Um, but
Well, which
that
is scary.
idea that we don't, that idea of being lousy at something and then improving and giving
Yeah.
ourselves the grace, to the childlike grace, to be like, oh, I fell on my ass, I'd better get up again and see how many more steps I can take.
Well,
Yeah,
and I
it's like,
think
who told you that you're not allowed to be bad at something? Who told you that being a beginner was shameful?
Mm.
Because like also
and I think
like what joy there is to show up and say, I'm excited to learn new information. I'm excited to let my world get a little bit bigger. That's fucking radically cool. Like that's cool as shit. To like
well,
admit like I'm excited to learn something new. Don't be a dick to yourself. Like let your world get bigger.
and I think we also can look at the scientific method, right? We make decisions, create theories with the information we have. And if we get new, better information, those theories change. And it's like, have you ever thought to like yourself, like, I am so proud of how close-minded I am, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like the ability to hear like gain new information and then make new decisions based on new information as needed is an intelligent, attractive, sexy quality. Like, do you
Mhm.
want to be intelligent, attractive, like sexy, successful? If so, you should probably learn how to gain new information and make new decisions. Like
Right.
it's one of the best qualities you can have with yourself. And also, like you were saying, Grace, like there's no reason to you can have a moment of shame, but to like embody shame and to like feel it as it's a part of you, that's never going to help you because unfortunately quantum entanglement, neurological things, we haven't figured out how to physically just go back and, you know, change time. And honestly, you shouldn't. While you might not be in the best place because of some choices that you made, you are where you are today. And like the authority and ownership, and there's a freedom of just being like, this is just fucking where I'm at. And the being okay with the truth of it and saying, I might not even be happy with where I'm at, but I know where I want to be tomorrow. And each day you can do that one little thing to get you there, that next step forward. And to have grace to be like, I'm not going to be perfect. I don't expect myself to be perfect, but I do expect myself to at least do the thing that it takes for me to respect me.
Mm.
Like, do you
Right.
respect you? And if you don't, that's when you need to have that check in. That's when you, instead of doing a 2 minute day, you do your right ugly method, maybe stick to five. Give yourself a full fiber.
I also think it's really important to go back and like take time out to question your beliefs. Like, do I even really believe that anymore? Because we don't do that very often. That you say, did I have any experiences, or have I been through something, or have I read something that says to me like, oh wait, that can't be true. Like and going back and saying, if you say to yourself like, oh, my intuition is terrible, right? You're going to be looking for evidence of that. And if you
Right.
go back and say, well, is my intuition terrible? And you start to look for evidence of it not being terrible, you'll start to find that because, cognitive bias works both ways.
Absolutely. I always say, ask yourself, what else can be true?
Mm.
That
Yep.
is one of the best questions you can ever ask yourself. What else can be true right now? What could I be missing?
Mm-hmm.
And not in a way to overthink, but to be like, am I limiting myself something that could be good for me? Or am I
Right.
limiting myself and holding myself? Because what else could be true? Because when you only look at one thing, because, like, well, that's my perspective. Okay, add a new lens.
Yep.
Go
100%.
90s fisheye, go wide angle. Like, you can always change your perspective. Are we doing 0.5? Are we zooming in? We can go up here, we can go back here. Don't get too close. My hair's not great. And so, and we talked about the smoky eye thing. It's not looking good, you guys. Once again, it's lipstick and mascara smudged together. From far away, though, very sultry. And it's important, one, that everyone knows inside of the written identity classroom, we actually have multiple like courses dedicated to asking those exact questions. The strong words journal, those are all in there. They're amazing. I know Alicia is doing some work, she's going through the strong words journal right now. It challenges all of those beliefs because we deserve to know who the fuck we are.
Yep.
And if you're going to know anybody in this world, you should know who you are.
Right.
And it's also okay to get new information about yourself and make new decisions. You can learn that you're like, you know what? That doesn't align with me anymore. And that's truly where you're able to show up for yourself in a way in the bedroom, in magic, in your writing, in your business, in your branding, in the way that you're like, I should be successful. I'm doing everything right. Why do I feel like shit? Because you're not aligned. You forgot how to listen to yourself and actually say, like, who the fuck am I and who am I showing up as? And are those the same people? Am I acting? Am I working? Am I writing? Am I doing magic? Am I having sex in a way that aligns with the identity that I respect and I'm choosing? And that's
Right.
why, we write our own identities. We're in charge of that. We're the one holding the pen.
Mm.
And we're the one that is supposed, like, the pen is mightier than the sword every day of the week. We create the version of us that we decide to be, and we can
Right.
show up as that person. And when you get it wrong, say that too. And be like, I got it wrong. You'll feel better about yourself if you just say the ugly part out loud sometimes. Like, oh, that was bad.
Hmm.
That is one of the most important things that I see that makes relationships really powerful relationships is when people are willing to say, "Wow, babe, I really got that wrong." And it is not easy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But
Like I
like
said, I'm going through a
everything,
trying time. I did that shit last night. I'm like, hey, the way that came out was way wonkier than I hoped. I'm really sorry, my bad. And I
yeah.
even sent my little my bad like Bitmoji with like I made a mistake.
Well, and the more we practice that, the more we trust ourselves, the more our partner trusts us, and the easier it gets. Right? We can actually start shorthanding things. I mean, my partner and I were, my husband and I were talking about this the other night. Like, when we started, we were both like, we'd have a fight, both of us would disappear, and it would take 4 days to get back together again. Right? These days it's like, babe, sorry about that. I uh, our kind of little fun way to flirt with each other and bring our ways back is like, you know the invitation to would you like to make a sandwich with me, is our kind of like.
That's first off, I love that. And
But
it's like it's those moments of repair, right? We're never gonna stop screwing up. We're fucking human. The beauty of it is it's not removing conflict, it's not removing mistakes, it's not removing a screwed up, ritual. It's continuously seeing like, okay, you catch it sooner and you make a repair faster. You show back up for yourself. You return to your practice. You keep going and the process gets smoother and smoother and smoother the more you trust yourself to make a mistake and try again and
Right.
to show up and keep going and to show up and keep going. And, these are things that, gosh, if I could go back and do it a lot better, I would in a lot of ways, but I can't. And I can own that now.
mm-hmm,
And that's something that I get to step forward and be the person that I want to respect today and tomorrow and the next day. And, I've been writing about that all morning. I filled an entire fucking journal. And it's been a long night. And so it's one of those things so where, and it's not just for yourself, right? And that's why it's the 2 minute like write ugly method. It's like, what is true in this moment right now? What else could be true? What could I be assuming? And what is mine to hold? And what can I do right now? Just ask yourself those easy little questions, those 4 questions. What is heaviest on me right now? What's showing up for me? What is actually true? Like, what do you have received? Like, what is really happening? What could I be assuming? What else could be true? And what can I do next? Right? Like, what's real? What's heavy? What's mine? What's not? What's fake? What's next? Just
Right.
ask yourself those things and then write it down. And it really does only take 2 minutes of just sitting there and be like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah,
And saying
I
the
think
truth.
I think that like when you're saying like what's true and what's not, I think that some people have a problem answering that authentically. And what I always think is like write down what were the events that happened,
Yeah.
right?
So do you remember when we did the field data thing? That's exactly it. Like, what's the actual field data? Like, this has happened. Like, do it like you're just a crime scene reporter almost. Like, this
Right.
happened, this is going on. I'm wearing blue pants. Like, talk about physical facts, like real things.
Right. And so, if I say to myself, oh, that spell didn't work, be like, okay, like what, in the days after I did it, like what changed? How
What
did
was
it?
the events?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then you can say to yourself, and so what do I conclude from that? And that's the story you're telling, right?
Yeah, what
Uh,
meaning am I assigning to this?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly right. So I
Because I
think
think
that,
we assign meaning to things that we don't need to assign meaning to, and I think that that's oftentimes, honestly, like even why a lot of men even struggle with journaling, because people are like, "Oh, dear diary bullshit." Like, one, it's not that. Just write shit down. Like some of the best writers and philosophers, they're all men, you guys. I don't, these guys all fucking journal. I don't. They It's a writing practice. So if screw journaling, don't do it anymore. I told you journaling is bad. Have a writing practice. Call yourself a writer, and you are. If you write things, you're a writer.
I
Welcome to the
love that. And have a sex practice.
please
Call
have
yourself
the
a
sex.
lover.
Yeah,
Call
be a
yourself
lover
sexy. Call
and love yourself.
yourself. I think that's the equivalent of a writer is a sexy
yeah.
or a lover. So
Oh,
Well,
absolutely. I think it's, yeah. You're a lover. Like, love it.
I think that for me in my magic practice, like I don't really call myself a witch. I think there's a lot of negativity around that word. I am not Wiccan, which is what I associate it with. And I think of it more as just a spiritual practitioner. And so that's the word I use is practitioner. And I've been practicing for 40 years. And so I think that, like if you're going to label yourself, again, do it in the way that makes you comfortable. I know people who embrace it
Yeah.
and they've
It also
got
doesn't have
the
to be your identity. It's just something that's a piece of you.
right.
Like, I am Allie, but I'm not Allie the writer, Allie the like Allie the mom, Allie like I'm Allie. Like, you are you. Like, you don't have to put your like you can embrace the pieces of yourself, things that, you can be a lover, and that's just a piece of something that you cherish. And that's a practice that you cherish. Like, you don't have to own everything with full authority and claim it forever. Never, nothing has to be permanent. It's
right.
okay.
Right, right. And it's funny, I was writing the other day about, so my master's degree is in strategic organizational change. And I love strategy work. I
Oh,
love like tracking and indicators. I'm
awesome.
like, I even have a favorite chart, right? I love it all. And so I was thinking about it, and people, when they talk about strategy, they're like, oh, it's so hard. Like creating a strategic plan is so hard. No, it's not. It's not hard at all. And anybody that's telling you that it's really hard and you need someone who is an expert in it to walk you through it is trying to make money off of you. And
Also, I can always help you. I'm a strategist.
but like I could give you a form right now
Yeah,
and a couple of definitions, and you could make a fairly reasonable strategic plan for the next year, whether
absolutely.
it's your business or your life. It's not that hard. What's hard is executing. And so I was
And
thinking
it's
about,
also the ownership of telling the truth about what you're truly after. Like, what is your goal?
true, it's very much about that. And so I think that what I was thinking was like strategy is very much like magic because you're not going to just like do a spell and like then do nothing in the mundane world and think like, hey, the abundance is coming, all I have to do is watch Netflix and wait. Well, that's not how it works, right? And that's not how
Right in the
strategy
middle.
works. Yeah, and that's where people get strategy wrong, is that it's simple to make a strategic plan, to make a good one. It's hard to execute it and go do the things that you said you were going to do in the time frame you said you were going to do them. And that's where people get tripped up. They're like, oh yeah, it's been 6 months, let's dust off the strategic plan and see how we did. It's like,
Yeah.
no, you
Well,
can't
that's
do
like I
that.
tell people, right? So everyone always likes to say, like, I don't know, I never know what to write. So if you guys are all open, I have a double dog dare for everyone today. And I double dog you, so you have to do it. Unfortunately, that's just the code. And I dare everyone to write today. I want to practice more of blank. Just one word. I want to practice more of blank. What is one thing that you want to practice just for 2 to 5 minutes a day? If uh, What do you want to practice more of today?
Hmm.
And I want to, like, I'll answer mine. I want to practice more pauses. I want to practice slowing down
Mhm.
because I deserve to be able to be present in my moments and be present for everything else too. And I think that I've not been able to, I've gotten in the habit of doing too much too fast because I've always had to, and I deserve to be here.
Mm.
Mhm.
Beautiful. Thank you. I
Yeah.
think hearing you say that, the first thing that popped into my head was, and thank you for helping me practice this, is turning on the camera and being seen and
Yes.
speaking my truth, speaking my magic, speaking my sex. Like,
Yeah. Speaking of
so
ugly.
turning on the my that's the thing I want to practice is turning on the camera.
I love that. Yeah. Being seen, showing up. That's beautiful.
Ooh, as for me, like the first thing that sort of jumped into my mind was that when I'm doing my work, like a lot of times I procrastinate and everything. It's like, but what I do, when I talk about what do I love about what I do, I love talking to people. I love getting to know people. I love helping people. I love helping them find what's right for them. And it's like, that's like the what I should be doing. But when you have to do it instead of when you get to do it, you get into those parts of your brain where it's like, oh God, now I got to do that, and it's got to be perfect and everything. So I think I'm gonna practice um, loving my work.
Yeah. And saying that, like, say it to yourself, like, when you, like, what is, like, I'm going to challenge you even a little bit further than Tracy. Like, what is, you said, like, you love showing up for people and helping people, but like, give me like a specific, like, what is like a minute detail that is something that is going on today? Can't be this. I know you're loving this, but, but what is, one, it could be a like trivial thing, but what is one thing that you actually are loving or you love what it becomes? Like, what is something that you can like say in your head while you're doing it? Like, I love this.
um, Talking to people one on one.
Yeah. Yeah. So like even so scheduling those calls might even like, oh, I love the opportunity to get to connect with somebody. Right.
Yeah.
And seeing more of the good in things. And
Hmm.
I'm always for like, I hate toxic positivity, like, but also just because I don't like toxic positivity doesn't mean you need to be wildly negative. You can
Right.
embrace that more than one thing should be true.
Right.
And while, yeah, there, like I said, grief shows up all the fucking time, but joy usually fucking does too if you let it.
Mm.
Right.
If there's enough seats at the table, it will be there. It's how
Yeah.
many seats do you want to have open at the table? How many dinner guests is Tracy inviting for surf and turf? Right. And hopefully
10.
enough
Always
for all of
10.
us. I would like
Because
to be there for that. I have a costume ready to go.
that's how
And
many people sit at my table. So that's why it's 10.
perfect. I'll be there, all 10 of me. And, but, ask yourself, okay, I don't like toxic positivity and I don't like this, but what do you like? What do you want more of? What is showing up? And is there room for more? Let's say you're not trying to, like, stop trying to remove things from your life, but make more space for other things to show up and join you. Because, like you were talking about the quantum entanglements, it's not so much about always having to remove things, but allowing more to come in. Make
Hmm.
space for new information. Make space for new visitors to show up at your door. That's why I always have, like, I have this weird connection to coffee cups because I will always want to make sure that no matter who shows up at my house or however many, I have enough coffee cups to make sure that everyone has a fresh cup and we can all sit together and have a fucking cup of coffee. And
Hmm.
because it's important, like for me, like I have enough seats at the table, I have enough coffee cups for all the different cups to show up. And it's important to
Right.
me to have that because I'm
Right.
trying to fill all the cups. I want to fill my cups. And so I just get more cups. If my cup's full, I have another cup. It's okay. It's
Very
okay to
cool.
be, so if you're not too much, you're always welcome to just embrace more.
That is very wise.
Yeah,
Very
but
wise.
we've been here
I
for so long.
I will say that that might be a nice place to stop. Although I could
Yeah, I
talk to
think
you guys
so too.
for, yeah, we're coming up on an hour and a half, and
Oh my
people
goodness
have
gracious. You
Yeah,
guys
they
have
have,
lives. You guys have things
yeah,
to write and practices to practice.
yeah. But we had everybody stick with us. So,
Oh
thank you
yeah.
guys all for showing up.
I would love for those of you who are here with us, um, they can write something in the chat, right?
I believe
Yes.
so. Yeah,
Well, if you are game and if you're open and if you're down for it, I would love if you put in the chat what's one thing you might be practicing.
absolutely.
So,
And then while you're at it, I do want to remind every one of you to, go and check out Tracy's, community in school. Go and check out Deborah's community in school. And, I would be honored if you came and joined the village because I know I've always needed a village and this village has shown up for me in more ways than I could ever imagine. And I would love for you guys to have that experience too.
Mhm.
ooh, I'm loving all that. I see lots and lots of hearts. So
I
thank you.
know. I was like, that's why I like the chat because like I can't read the chat because thank God you guys can. But I love the little hearts. They go, "Dee, dee, 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 dee."
Oh, so Alicia says, I want to practice being more present.
Yes, Alicia.
That's a
Thank
good
you.
one. Thank
And it
you.
works out because she brought me a present today. So she's very present for me.
I'm a little concerned that we sort of shocked Lavelle because he was just like, oh, yeah, I'll come to your live. I'll
Well,
set
I mean,
up my.
the name says enough. Right? The
What?
moment he jumps on, we start talking about giving head. Oh, poor thing.
So either he was like, oh,
Well, no, he
or
did
he
say
was
he
like,
was only going to be
oh.
able to come on for a little bit, I think.
All right.
I don't know. I don't know if he's still here or not, but we still have 11 people. So
All right. Well, Lavelle, if you're here, go be present with your wife. Practice a few things.
Oh my
All
gosh.
right,
So
guys.
I just want to say thank you so much
Yeah.
for saying yes and for having me join you. I know I sort of scooped in as a third here.
Hey, I'm a three-way's always welcome, right? Once again, we don't kick
yeah,
shame.
There you go. So thank you
that's
so
right.
much.
All
And
right,
it's
you
been
guys,
a
it has
pleasure to
been
get you
truly an
both.
honor. Tracy, thank you so much for everything that you've shared about magic and rituals and in practice. And, Deborah, thank you so much for just insight and, compassion and just knowledge about sex and, building a beautiful like sex life and being a great lover. And as always, you guys write ugly, show up for yourself and listen to yourself and go practice something good. At least give yourself 2 minutes.
Yep.
Right,
And
everybody?
trust your magic. Trust your magic. We all
Yeah,
have it.
trust yourself. All right. And Bernie, lean out if you get weird. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye everybody.